Taiwan, a tiny island with 23 million people, yet it's the center of one of the world's most dangerous conflicts in the world. China claims it as its own. Taiwan insists it's independent. The US backs Taiwan, sort of. And the whole world, it's watching, holding its breath. But why? Why does China want Taiwan so badly? And what happens if they actually try to take it? This isn't just a political dispute, it's a battle for power, technology, and control over the future. To understand why Taiwan is such a big deal, you have to go back to 1949. China was in the middle of the Civil War. On one side, Mao Zedong and the communists. On the other, Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalists. Mao won, took over China, and declared the People's Republic of China. Chiang and his army, they fled to Taiwan, declared it the real China, and set up a government in exile. And for decades, the world went along with it. Most countries, including the US, recognized Taiwan as a legitimate Chinese government. But that all changed in the 1970s. The US and the world realized that doing business with China, big growing communist China, was more important than Taiwan, so they cut Taiwan off. The United Nations removed Taiwan and gave China its seat. The US officially recognized Beijing and broke formal ties with Taiwan. But here's the twist. America didn't abandon Taiwan completely. They signed the Taiwan Relations Act, basically saying, we don't officially recognize you, but we'll still sell you weapons and make sure you don't get invaded. And since then, it's been a delicate balancing act. Now, fast forward to today, Taiwan is more than just a political headache, it's a global superpower in disguise. The island makes 60% of the world's semiconductors, and an insane 90% of the world's most advanced chips. The tech that powers everything, like your iPhone, AI, fighter jets, self-driving cars, Taiwan makes it all. China, they want the technology badly. Right now, they only produce about 7% of the world's chips, and their attempts to catch up have failed. If China controlled Taiwan, they wouldn't just gain the tech. They could cripple the entire world's supply chains overnight. The US knows this. That's why in 2022, they passed the CHIPS Act, a $52 billion plan to bring semiconductor manufacturing back to America. But here's the problem. It's not that simple. The factories take years to build, and Taiwan's chipmaker TSMC is still the king. In 2023, they opened up a plant in Arizona, but it won't be fully operational until 2027. Meaning, if a war breaks out before then, the global economy is screwed. But semiconductors aren't the only reason China wants Taiwan. There's also rare earth minerals, metal used in everything from electric vehicles to military weapons. China already controls 70% of the world's rare earth processing. If they take Taiwan, that number gets even higher. Then there's geography. Taiwan sits on the first island chain, a crucial line of defense for US allies like Japan and the Philippines. If China takes Taiwan, it could expand its influence far into the Pacific, challenging the US military's dominance in that region. And that's where things get really dangerous. China has threatened to take Taiwan for decades. President Xi Jinping has called for reunification and has set a deadline of 2027 for China's military to be ready. Meanwhile, the US has been quietly arming Taiwan, billions in weapon sales, missile systems, and military training. Some experts think China might blockade Taiwan instead of a full-scale invasion, basically starving the island into submission. Others believe China won't risk it because the economic fallout wouldn't be worth it. A war over Taiwan wouldn't just be a political crisis, it would be an economic disaster. Bloomberg estimates that if Taiwan is invaded, it could wipe out 10% of global GDP. That's trillions of dollars lost. The stock market would crash, supply chains would break, and industries like cars, smartphones, and AI would be thrown into chaos. Rare earth prices through the roof. Tech companies paralyzed. And for China, the risk is huge too. 40% of Taiwan's exports go to China. If they invade, they're actually destroying their own economy. So where does this all go? Right now, the US is walking a tightrope. They won't say outright that they'll defend Taiwan, but they also won't let China invade. Taiwan? Well, they're preparing for the worst, ramping up their defenses, stockpiling weapons, and even training civilians. China? They're watching, waiting, and increasing pressure through military drills. The big question, will China actually invade? Some say yes, it's just a matter of time. Others think they'll try economic warfare instead, sanctions, cyber attacks, trade restrictions. Either way, the world is watching. Because Taiwan isn't just a tiny island, it's a $1 trillion battleground for the future of technology, economics, and global power. And that's why Taiwan matters. It's not just history, it's not just politics. It's about who controls the future.